What is up, everyone? Welcome back. For this video, we're going to start getting into the fun stuff. Throughout the beginning of this series, kind of went over some, more boring, simple stuff. But this is the more fun stuff, actually putting what we've learned to the test. In this case, we're going to be talking about call and put entries based off predetermined triggers. So in this case, today's, with these gaps and all this stuff, I honestly couldn't find a great example of using predetermined. So just to clear the air and make sure, it's not me lying or some shit. November 14th, tweeted Meta, really like over 116.25. Here we got this picture as well. So if I hop over here to Meta, this is November 14th. See here at the bottom in case anyone wants to question it. I get it. I understand. Anyways, so in this case, I like calls over 116.25. Now, when it comes to taking a position, my favorite thing to do is a retest. And a retest is when we come back to test that previous breakout and then can push up, right? So in this case, 116.25 is my call trigger. We actually gap up right above, close above that first 5-minute candle. And then, we might be tempted in here to take these. And to me, this is more of a luck position, right? We have heavy resistance up here. Sellers have pushed it down a little, but then we test back up. Okay, I missed this. This is where patience really comes into play, and that would be waiting on a retest. When I'm looking for a calls retest or a calls entry, I really want to see longer, lower wick candles. In this case, here on the 5-minute is what I like to trade off of. I have 1-2 candles long lower wick, and we never close below that level. What I want to see when waiting on that retest is closing above the level and waiting for that candle to close. If there's one thing to take away that I have learned on my trading journey so far, it's wait for the goddamn candle to close. Sorry for the language, but that has saved my account now and blew my account up back when I was pretty inexperienced and thought I knew everything in the world. So right there, great calls entry in this case. Now for actually creating these levels or these call and put triggers, I'll tag a video in it because I think it does a really good job of explaining how I come up with it. But I use the 20-25% rule when using predetermined. I've started to stray away from it, to be honest with you, because of stuff like gaps. Days like this where we do have gaps, it's a lot harder in my opinion. So I've been using the orb method, which is, my baby right there. Get more into that on a strategies video. Love it so much. It's awesome. But predetermined levels, predetermined triggers are very, very helpful, and I think are a really good beginner step in being more confident in knowing when to take a trade. The hard part about it is, just practice over time, finding triggers that really work and that you're confident in. But it gives us the ability to trade on our own and find our own plays, which is awesome. Another thing I want to point out on this is oftentimes those key levels or those triggers we have turn into either support or resistance in the next couple of trading days. So in this case, what I'm looking for in terms of puts, I wouldn't take this here because, we don't have a retest on that trading day, but this is what I look for in puts. These long upper wicks near resistance. I love that on puts. Would like to see a retest just because I think it really helps me with my entries. Sometimes I do miss plays. They just absolutely rock it. Let's look at BABA here, actually. Today on BABA, see, I had these predetermined levels, 78.5, 77.41, and we just shoot right through it, right? We get a super quick retest, but in my mind, waiting on a retest is great. And I also like waiting on that candle to close. In this case, we're closing up. This closed at $79.95, so $1.40 over my trigger. That's not an optimal entry to me. Even if I do catch this move, which it ends up going absolutely crazy, I don't like the risk to reward as much as retesting down here a little bit longer out and then being able to bounce out where I can get a better entry. We talked about the market moves based off of psychology of buyers and sellers. So candlesticks, in my opinion, are a great tool to help us kind of understand what buyers and sellers are thinking. When it comes to calls, when it comes to puts, there's a couple of things I'm looking for. For puts, looking for longer upper wicks or tweezer formations near resistance. In this case, we have a tweezer formation, a little bit of a wick here, but we have this tweezer here. So a tweezer is just similar highs, and then the candles can't break through it, you know. So in this case, we have a tweezer here. We also have tweezer action over here with a nice retest, 2 tweezers. I like that a lot for puts. For calls, just the opposite. I'm looking for longer, lower wicks or tweezer action here. In this case, have a tweezer. Oh, that's a fib. I do not want a fib. We have a little bit of tweezer action here off of a previous level from that gap down. And then right here, really great action. We have a tweezer here. Then we have these long lower wicks, then a really long lower wick. Great entry spot here. I love this entry. And it ends up, you know, going ballistic up here. And then we have another tweezer action here later in the day. But the big thing with candles is where the hell they take place. The location of the candle is way more important than the actual candle, right? So let's say, for instance, let's look at QQQ here, for instance. So in this case, we have a longer upper wick candle here looking, you know, possible puts entry. We have a little bit of short-term resistance in this area up here, but this candle's kind of just in the middle of nowhere. I don't want to take a puts entry here. I'd rather take it up here just because my risk to reward is much better. On the flip side, there are hanging man candles. So that would be your longer lower wicks at the top of a zone. Let's see if I can find one here. So if I look back a couple days, this is a 15-minute chart. That's another thing. The higher the time frame, the more impact these candles are going to have. That's why I like trading off the 5 and waiting on the retest. Or you can just trade off the 10, 15, not wait on the retest and just use that one candle. It does work for sure. I just have found that sometimes those really quick moves can happen super fast and I miss an entry. But in this case, we have these 2 candles here that form 2 hammer candles actually, which we would think are bullish, but since they're at the top here in a resistance zone, they're actually bearish candle formations called hanging mans, and price then falls down. Another key is confirmations, you know, the biggest thing. For me, confirmation is waiting for that candle to close, also playing the retest, and then also we need to see this previous support or resistance turned into the opposite. That's why I like that retest a lot here. Very good candle entry. We get a retest. If I break this down on the 5, let's see, right in here. So we get this, then we get this retest here of this previous support, turn resistance, turn support again, and we get a retest. Very good entry here. Can see that sellers have stepped in pretty heavy, and then we get the flush down the rest of the day. That's how I, you know, no matter how you determine, you know, your call or put trigger or where you're going to take a play, the biggest thing is patience, waiting for that retest, and waiting for confirmation. In my opinion, it changed how I trade and my ability to be profitable, because I was one that chopped around for a long time simply because I just wasn't patient and I wasn't looking for the tops and bottoms of zones to hop into my play, as well as going against the trend. They're definitely simple things, but they do take practice. That patience is a psychology aspect that's super hard. I know for me, FOMO used to be a huge thing where I just wanted to hop into every single play with the potential of making huge amounts of money or whatever it may be. You know, maybe I miss out here. That's okay now to me, because win rate and my confidence in my plays has gone up exponentially just from being a little bit patient.